Cause we all under attack in this wicked ass nation. Better get with Jason Black, he got the useful information. Stay on code as he expose all the Satan machinations. He ain't talking about shit, he ain't talking reparations. We'll show your ass a riot, those were peaceful demonstrations. All eyes on Bree, cause we all family. That's the way it fucking.
How y'all been doing out there? I know I've been a little lazy with the videos, you know what I mean, for like the last month or so. But haven't been lazy in real life, you know what I mean? I've been getting it in, right? Okay. Today, I'm coming to you with it's my first time doing this topic on YouTube. And it's, this topic is about relationships, females, raising children, and what I see as a real big problem, right? So, like I always do, I get a little help from these master teachers and these wonderful resources of wisdom that we have at our disposal. Once again, I bring you my brother, Professor Black Truth. And we're gonna break it down and chop it up. Hope everybody learns something. And hope I don't get canceled for this one. But here we go.
Things change with time, ladies, but human nature doesn't. And there is no substitute for having a father in the home. Using your crutch to chase cheap thrills may be fun for you, but it undermines the community, devastates the family.
Okay.
And ruins a society. Gathering a group of other used up, dried out hens who all sit around and commiserate about how they got a raw deal for Pookie and Ray Ray, they make you feel better, but the secret is out. Has been for a damn long time. When you signed on to the devil's bargain of crotch power, that became the only trick you knew. So you naturally wanted men to acknowledge your power and validate it. Well, a man who's actually about something, which thankfully is the majority of them, they don't see your crotch as power.
Contrary to popular belief, terror.
You knew this, and you created some feel-good lies to excuse this truth away. Oh, those guys are lames, I'm not attracted, they're corny, etc. What you meant is, they're not really...
I hear it every day. And I find that most women reject true leadership from a man. But carry on.
To validate my crotch as power, and since they won't play along with my crotch power fantasy, I'm going to try to ignore it. Ah, but Pookie and Ray Ray were willing to play the game, now weren't they? And as a result, you chose...
Pookie and Ray Ray. You're two different baby daddies. That's what we're discussing now.
Was to limit your dating and mating choices to the level of the power. These are the males, I dare not call them men, who wind up in trouble with the law the most. They're the ones who have the STDs, which they usually got when they were in prison. And after your relationships with them blow up in your face, you've got the nerve to turn around and say that it was men in general who had wronged you.
It's the niggas that y'all fucking with. It's the niggas that y'all conditioned to like. Based on popularity, swag, other childish factors. That's what gets you in trouble, ladies. But carry on. Nobody can tell y'all nothing anyway.
Think about all the sexual partners you've had, the countless failed relationships and even marriages, the children you've had by you're not sure how many guys. Your lives have become a tale of tragedy. Different people, different cities, but the one thing all your failures and tragedies have in common is you.
You. All of this shit, all of these circumstances that you found yourself in have one common denominator. You. Do you ever ask yourself that question? Like, dang, maybe it's me. Probably not, but carry on.
Whether you want to hear this or not, the truth is black men have never bashed black women. Not now, not ever.
Yeah.
Black men have only ever tried to help, to school, to give you the game. But you decided a long time ago you weren't about to listen to men because they weren't validating your newfound crotch power. And if they weren't about crotch power, you could care less what they had to say. So you listened to the women instead, who you knew would tell you what you wanted to hear. Well,
Big mistake. Most of the time, it starts with the mothers and the aunts and the friends giving bad advice. I'm gonna get into that specifically later in this video, but carry on.
oh, Aunt Flo and baby sister up the block are single mothers with a raft of STDs and no man dumb enough to take them. And you've wound up the same way. They say if you want to become a millionaire, then only a millionaire can teach you how. And that's the truth. If someone doesn't already have $1 million, then how can you take them seriously if they tell you that they're going to teach you how to make a million? Well, the same goes for relationships, ladies. Listening to bitter broads who fell for the crotch power scam may make you feel better because they're telling you that you can get over on men by using your crotch. But why is it that
They always want to listen to their homegirls and all this other females that's in the same boat they in, from the same choices. I've been married over 15 years, and my advice ain't worth a fuck in their eyes, but carry on, you get what you get.
never bother to ask if you want to end up like this wretched group of hags that you keep taking advice from? Ladies, why is it that you're hell-bound and determined that you will never listen to men's advice? It's not because you didn't think it's true. You routinely admit that you know it's true. And it's not because men haven't been nice enough in the way that we've presented our advice. Men have walked on eggshells for decades now, tiptoed around the subject, used all the sweet flower.
Maybe that's where we went wrong. See, back in the old school, way before my time, men could come straight down the middle because the woman valued the protection and care that the men of that day provided. So maybe that's where we went wrong. Maybe we got soft too. But carry on.
Language that we knew, said it pretty please with a cherry on top. And you ignored it. So clearly the problem isn't that you didn't like the tone in which the advice was given. The problem was you didn't want the advice at all. This is the reason why you keep listening to these bitter broads and these empty-headed bimbos who give you all of this advice about how you can try to get a free dinner out of a man, and in your minds that counts as some sort of win. What happened was that a bunch of angry lesbian
90% of my Facebook friends are females, right? So I just scroll down the timeline, man. Boy, oh boy. The things that I read, if I was to go down and comment and give my opinion on everything that I see is ass backwards, I would have to hire bodyguards because they'll want my head. But the psychosis is prevalent.
academics decided to try to increase the size of their dating pool. They understood that female pride is practically unbreakable, so the easy part would be convincing women to go chase cheap thrills and to basically be children forever. And that men were the enemy because they were keeping women.
Hot Girl Summer. Shout out to Hot Girl Summer.
From pursuing their fun.
That shit lead to a cold, lonely, complaining ass winter.
So, with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, women were finally able to enter the workforce. This meant that for the first time in human history, women were able to earn an income sufficient enough to feed and clothe themselves. To the lesbian mothers of the suffrage movement, this would be the wedge that they would drive and use sweet talk in order to get women to sign on to the suicide pact of feminism. This perverted.
What they don't realize is, without a man in the house providing, a woman will actually work herself into a man. Like, she can't blossom fully into a woman at work and working and taking on such a load. It's, relationships, they have roles, you know what I mean? Male roles and female roles. The male takes care of his half and the female takes care of her half. And when I say half, I'm not talking financially at all. It's like it's more spiritually and emotionally in the work of running the household. A woman reaches her full womanhood when she can really, really focus on her role. While the man takes on most of the load of providing, you know what I mean? So he doesn't have to worry about things that come outside of what he's naturally made to do. Once we get some order back, we'll be all right. But it gets deeper. I'm gonna go back, right? We're gonna look at the ugly side of feminism and single motherhood. Boils down to this right here, ladies. If you love black people and these black children, these black boys and girls, here's what must happen. Listen carefully. Get out your feelings. Just listen carefully.
Black women, if you want to save yourselves, you'll have to destroy this bubble that you've taken refuge inside. Psychological masturbation is self-destruction. Like a heroin overdose. The thing that's getting you high is also killing you. As females, nothing's more important to you than your feelings. We get that. But the problem is, that starts with your pride. Women will never admit they're wrong, and yet the road to redemption will have to begin with that very act. The Sierras and the Jess Hilariouses of this world don't realize that what they're doing to their children is wrong, and they don't care. Same way Karine Steffens, superhead, didn't give a damn about.
They sure act like they don't care. Look at the images that you putting right out there on the internet. You can't tell me that you're thinking about your kids when you do these things. But can't tell you shit, so carry on.
About how her suck-and-tell stories and pictures would affect her own children, attention is a drug, and they can't get enough of it. But worse than that, they're so terminally self-centered, to them, their children don't really exist. It's all about them. And so the infantilization that women were allowed to indulge in for so many centuries has now come full circle, with horrifying results. They were treated like children, now they've become children. And this is who's raising the children today. A self-centered...
Let that sink in for a minute. Get out your feelings. Just think about it. Keep going.
Brat who doesn't know right from wrong, and who doesn't care, who you can't tell anything to, and are unable to reason with or keep company with. And there will be...
I gotta run that little piece back. For the people in the back.
They've become children. And this is who's raising the children today. A self-centered brat who doesn't know right from wrong, and who doesn't care, who you can't tell anything to, and are unable to reason with or keep company with. And there will be the same coterie of whiners who are going to cut.
I call them hyenas. Visit your local Chuck E. Cheese on any Saturday or Sunday, and you will see what I'm talking about and what the professor's talking about.
Into this address with the same line of diversions and excuse making. What about the men? Well, it's not the men posing nude with their daughters. It's not the men standing in their drawers with their children around them. It's not the men talking about their children's genitals as if they were attracted to them. And it's not the men who are heading the majority of households in our community. These women...
Boom. It should be. And, it's equal blame for that. But some of these situations that men and females find themselves in just totally untenable situations. Carry on.
Subjecting their sons to psychological incest is a portrait of a deranged mind. This is not the image of a mother of humanity. It's the sad picture of the harlot of the world. As long as you protect the cult of crotch power that you've been engaging in, so long as you continue to say criticism is bashing you, continue to dodge, deflect, and divert, continue to practice making excuses for why bad boys, losers, and homo thugs are okay to sleep with and have children by, then this will continue and get worse. And make no mistake, it can get much worse than this. We have a lot of women who see that our community has become a whorehouse, and they like it that way. And they're determined that this won't change. That's where all of this opposition keeps coming from. There are some black women who claim that they agree with us, but when we condemn Sierra and Jess Hilarious, where are you? You're silent. The norms of female behavior are set by men, but they're enforced by women. Female culture is ultimately women's responsibility. Your silence emboldens these warped-minded perverts. They understand that the sisterhood is still standing, and this tacit support on your part is why they can cut.
All that, you go girl, and you killing it sis, and don't let no nigga hold you back. The chorus of those type of statements that I hear and see every day, we talking to you. Part of the problem.
And yell and scream obscenities while they continue to tear what little remains of our community apart. So the women who want to claim that you're on the side of the angels, you need to do a lot better than bring just words. Because when you sit on your hands while all this goes on, that is not a harmless act.
That's right.
The standard for what constitutes acceptable womanhood is once again being laid down by the men. It's time for you to do your part. Internalize the standard and then enforce it among the other females.
Mic drop. Right now. It's your boy, Les the Best, your host to the next post.